you're definitely gonna believe this. Everyone's been weighing in on the Trump assassination attempt, but no one came close to The View in their recent episode. They showcased the clip of the shooting and President Biden's address from the Oval Office where he called for unity. But the panelists gave their opinion on the matter. Needless to say, they were quick to divert from the issue at hand. From identity politics to questioning the Second Amendment, these women were there to push their ideological narratives. The only standout who came was from Alexis Farrah Griffin, who insisted on communicating a unifying message that everyone should hear and reflect upon. Surprising, but before I delve deeper into it, watch the clip.
I'm very happy Donald Trump is safe. Full stop, period. And I condemn all forms of political violence. I'm simply heartbroken for the family of Corey Compertori, a volunteer fire chief, a father, a husband who lost his life shielding his family simply for going to a political rally. I also need to say, I hope that at some point in this country, we do have a conversation about what is happening, because we can't just react when it is our side. What was this again? It was, a 20-year-old lone wolf, white, whack job with easy access to a gun. And we have to have a conversation about that, because it wasn't a drag queen. It wasn't an immigrant. It wasn't a pissed off liberal woman. This keeps happening. And we need to react, not as left or right, not as Republicans or Democrats. We need to react as Americans.
All right.
And we need to ask better.
She started off good, but lost it in the second half of the take. These people have become so consumed by identity politics that they can't comprehend any event taking place without it being related to the concept. Her narrative overshadowed the specifics of the incident and the actions of the shooter, turning a critical moment into a platform for advancing a divisive agenda. Such an agenda played a major role in deepening the polarization within American society, and it mainly thrives on framing issues in terms of us versus them, which has been steadily erasing the fabric of national unity and mutual respect. By the way, do subscribe for more discussions like this. Over the past decade, political discourse in the United States has become increasingly hostile and fragmented. Media outlets, politicians, and public figures from both sides of the aisle have contributed to this environment by focusing on differences rather than commonalities. This has created echo chambers where individuals are constantly exposed to one-sided narratives that demonize the opposition, reinforcing negative stereotypes and fostering resentment. Anna also detracted away from the need to prevent political violence. The assassination attempt on a former president is a serious issue, and this demands a united response emphasizing the importance of security, political stability, and respect for democratic processes. By shifting the focus to identity politics, she missed an opportunity to start a constructive conversation about how to prevent such incidents in the future. But Anna wasn't the only one guilty of this, and I'd say Joy Behar did a worse job than her. Watch her terrible take in this next clip.
Okay, I just want to add that the shooter, yes, he was a 20-year-old kitchen worker from nearby Bethel Park in Pennsylvania. According to a CNN report, a senior law enforcement official said that he bought 50 rounds of ammunition from a local gun store hours before the rally. Shouldn't that have been reported? Somebody buys a 20-year-old white guy? I mean, we've seen that many times now, young white men with guns, and nobody reported that he bought 50 rounds of ammunition? This shooter, he was a registered Republican. He also donated $15 to Act Blue in 2021, which is an odd thing.
The condescending tone of this white lady saying white guy is disgusting, to say the least. Instead of focusing on the gravity of the situation and the need for unity, Joy proceeds to blame white men, framing the incident within a broader narrative of racial and identity politics. I won't steep low to her level and give statistics on crime rates in proportion to each racial background, since this is not the right video for that, but all that I'm going to say in such a narrative is that it got us here in the first place. The media in particular is guilty of this because their sensationalist reporting in the pursuit of ratings, which leads to the amplification of the most extreme voices and viewpoints. This not only skews public perception, but also worsens tensions by presenting a distorted view of reality, where compromise and understanding are seen as weakness. Social media platforms have also intensified this divide. Algorithms designed to maximize engagement often promote content that generates strong emotional reactions, which are typically negative. This has resulted in a culture of outrage where inflammatory and divisive content thrives, and civil discourse is increasingly rare. Matthew Genskow, who's a Stanford economist, published a study in 2021 and notes, quote, people are seeing political content on social media that does tend to make them more upset, more angry at the other side, and more likely to have stronger views on specific issues. Politicians also played a major role in this divide since their language essentially vilifies their opponents in order to rally their base. Instead of instilling a spirit of cooperation and bipartisanship, many have chosen to exploit division for political gain. This approach has contributed to an environment where distrust and hostility are the norm, making it difficult to address the country's challenges collectively. I know you've been waiting for Sonny Austin's take. I'll show in the next clip. Spoiler alert, it was awful, per usual.
Look, I think Biden's Oval Office address should be a guide to all of us. I think he, and I'm going to follow his lead, and when he said there should be no place for political violence in this country, I think he is absolutely right. Everybody always says it's too soon to talk about guns, and that we should, because there has been a terrible death of a father of two, that we should, thoughts and prayers should be where we go. I say no. I say now is the time to talk about the common denominator when it came to this assassination attempt is America's fascination and obsession with owning guns. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have more of this rhetoric of, had there only been more good guys with guns, this may not have happened. And so...
Well, the Secret Service had guns.
They had guns.
Those are the good guys.
And so, but my guess is they're going to say the Secret Service screwed up, if there were other people with guns, and I think that gun ownership will probably, because of this event, go up in this country instead of going down, and that is my fear.
She's clearly trying to divert attention away from the topic at hand and put the spotlight on gun owners, which is a typical tactic by these people. They never miss an opportunity to attack and undermine Second Amendment rights, arguing that stricter gun control measures are necessary for public safety. Australia? Their narrative usually centers on the idea that more guns inevitably lead to more violence, which is exactly what Sonny does here. It's not like a criminal could use other weapons to commit acts of violence. She's also trying to claim her moral high ground here by implying that those who support the Second Amendment as complicit in violence and obstruction of progress. Additionally, Sonny's employing emotional appeal tactics by generating public outrage and pushing for immediate action. Her reactionary approach only leads to poorly thought out arguments that infringe upon individual freedoms, while failing to address the root causes of violence. Farah was the only one with a level-headed take. Watch what she had to say in this next clip.
Thank God that the former president's okay. I applaud Secret Service. Listen, there's going to be some postmortems on what went wrong, but those who rushed the stage to make sure he was okay, because we're milliseconds and millimeters from a very different outcome and a very different conversation we'd be having in our country today. I think it's a moment for reflection on the tone and tenor of our politics. And one thing that is fundamentally American is the right to criticize policies. It is also our right to criticize the character of our politicians, but the way in which we do it matters. And we live in an era where escalatory rhetoric and saying the most damning and most inciting thing oftentimes is what's rewarded. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to just check how we engage. We can have different political viewpoints in this country, and we can still respect each other and respect each other's right to different opinions and come together as a country, because the way you defeat America, it's not with bombs, it's not with missiles, it's tearing us apart from within. If you care about democracy, listen more, say less.
As much as I view Farah as a token of controlled opposition that I present in the Views panel, so that they prove that they have people from all backgrounds on the show, I have to say kudos to her for being the only one not diverting from the point and going on some tangent about identity politics or gun control. This is what we need in this dangerous time, and the media has a huge role to play in reducing the polarization in our society. You see, as much as politicians convey messages of unity and calm, media organizations are the messengers and the gatekeepers. How they convey the messaging and use terminology plays a huge role in how people perceive things. The Associated Press conducted a survey last year and found that nearly 3/4 of US adults say the news media is increasing political polarization in this country, and just under half say that they have little to no trust in the media's ability to report the news fairly and accurately. The assassination attempt on Trump is a stark reminder of the consequences of divisive rhetoric. It underscores the need for a fundamental shift in how political and public discourse is conducted. To move forward, I think it is essential to promote a culture of respect, understanding, and empathy. This means holding people accountable for what they say and making a point of prioritizing unity over bipartisanship. Only this way we can avoid the infighting we're currently witnessing in our society. After all, we're Americans before being Democrats, Libertarians, or Republicans. I think your friends on Facebook would have a lot to say about this, so share it with them and let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below.